Hello everyone, my name is Pierre Haincourt. I'm the CEO of Credit Limits International, and I am talking to you from our head office in Kent, 1 hour south of the city of London in the UK. My experience in credit management spans 30 years, which is a little bit more than I've been in this country. I am French. I started my career here and work all my life here. I started working for Burberry's of London as the credit manager, went across working in debt recovery, then returned to the other side into credit management, working for a US company called Steris in the healthcare sector. And here I am talking to you about the specifics of debt recovery in the UK. During my career, I've served on the boards of the Credit Services Association, which is the professional association for debt collectors in the UK, the European Federation for Debt Collectors, that was between 2005 and 2007. I've also served on the Chartered Institute of Credit Management, Kent branch, for 10 years, and I resigned from the committee last year as I was getting busy on larger and larger projects. So to tell you a little bit about the kind of work we do, I think if I tell you about who our clients are, we work for companies of all shape and sizes. In the UK, we work for large publishers, some in the education sector, some more on the leisure sector. We work for clothing manufacturers. We work for small local traders who sell to both companies and consumers. We do a lot with online companies who often sell, but they get credit card anomalies, chargebacks, or problems with the credit card transactions. So we intervene on their behalf. And also one of the big sector that we service is the one of insolvency practitioners. So in other words, we work for liquidators and we get to act for companies really across all business sectors with all kinds of issues on their books, disputed, non-disputed, commercial, consumer debts. So we've got a really wide experience in collecting debts. There are two things we don't really touch is the construction sector, as in construction projects. We have clients who supply materials, tools, etc. That's not really a problem, but when it comes to issues of non-payment with building projects, for example, I think it's very specialized and people tend to use chartered surveyors to collect their debts in that sector. And we also don't touch unpaid rent, which is really where bailiffs are much better than we are, and we let them handle the whole process because they can go all the way to doing evictions and so on. Now, if I start with business to business debt recovery, businesses in the UK, it's very easy to start one. You need about 50 to 100 pounds sterling in your pocket, and you go and buy a company. It's already pre-registered. It doesn't cost you any more than that. You change the director to your name and you can start trading. So it's very important to qualify and check the companies before you do business with them, because in themselves they can be worth absolutely nothing. And if you do business with them prior to them having 2 or 3 years of experience, activity, and having filed their accounts and so on, it can be something quite dangerous. When we can't get in contact with a company, it's usually because they've stopped trading. It's quite easy to see where they are, how they're trading, call their accountants and check how they're doing. Now, debts business to business happens for all sorts of reasons, and we use all the communication tools to contact the companies and to determine why the debt is not paid and according to the reason why it's not paid, find the appropriate solution to get it paid. On the consumer side, it's also it's pretty much the opposite, really, because the problem is initially to find the data. We don't have a register of population in the UK where people have got a duty to register, but we have some databases privately owned where we can get licensed in order to find where the data are. And UK citizens have got a habit to move quite a lot and fairly regularly. This particular database that we are using has been built for the police force in the 90s and keeps evolving. It's got over 35 different sources of information, and all mixed together, it allows us to follow the data as they move address and renew contact with them. Now, with debtors, the arsenal of contact tools is a little bit more refined. We will use SMS visits whenever it's necessary to do so, but initially still letters, emails and telephone numbers when we have one. It's getting more and more difficult to find landlines for consumers. A lot of them just don't have one. They always operate simply out of their mobile because the world is just going that way. On the consumer side, what is interesting on the UK market is that we have a duty to respect people with in financial difficulties. We are becoming more social workers, understanding their problem, making sure that the repayments that they're offering are affordable to them. This is part of our duty. This is good practice. It's better to get £50 every month without a problem than trying to get 100 and every other month the installment is missed and the consumer is under more pressure, and all of that can lead to mental issues, and we do have to look at the mental health of our debtors quite regularly as well. So to help them pay their debts, manage all their creditors, we have debt management companies who help creditors agree repayment plans with all their creditors and take off the pressure of receiving numerous letters from numerous debt collectors up and down the country. There's a lot of other organizations who help consumers with debt issues, the Citizen Advice Bureau and Money Advice and so on. So we are working with those organizations to find the right level and the right payment plans for consumer debtors. When we can't achieve amicable repayment, whether it's in full or in installments, we have courts that we use. They are fairly simple to use, and if the matter goes undefended, you get a judgment very quickly. Now, if the debtor defends, if the debt is below £10,000, it gets resolved within 6 to 9 months. If it's over that, the procedure becomes a little bit more complex, and lawyers have to battle for up to 3 years. In the most complex cases, often the cases are settled earlier than that. To enforce, we go to the sheriff. Is now called the High Court Enforcement Officer because he comes under the jurisdiction of the High Court. We still like to call him the sheriff because of traditions. And the sheriff will not take care of all the enforcement available to lawyers, but everything that involves physical one-to-one contact with the debtor, going to their place of work and trying to recover assets there. If you have to apply to seize debtors' salaries, to seize money that might be owed to them by another creditor, seize their properties, or just ask for them to be interviewed in court because you do not know what assets they have, this is made by the lawyer by application to the court, and everything is generated by the court. Remember that in the UK, if you want to take enforcement proceedings after you've got your judgment, you need to have the information. If you don't have the debtor's bank account, if you don't know who is going to pay them something, if they've got customers that you can seize before they pay them, you're not going to go very far. So this is extremely important to obtain as much information from your customers, whether they're consumers or companies, prior to doing business with them. This is the best time to do it. They won't refuse to give you some information at this stage because they want to do business with you. So get all the information you can, make sure they can pay, and you will make our life a lot easier. Thank you for your attention.